Hi, I'm Stephen Callahan, Educational Technology and Engineering Design Coordinator here at the San Joaquin County Office of Education. I want to share with you today about a tool that we've been using a little bit lately. It's called Microsoft Teams. It allows us to make meetings, which is great, but it also allows us to share files, to organize information, to gather back information from others. And so it's a perfect tool for teaching in a distance learning model. Let's learn a little bit about Teams. A great place for us to start with Teams is to make a new team. Uh, Before we even start a classroom team, uh, let's make a colleague team. There's a lot of work that we have to do, and working together, we're going to come up with a better solution than we would on our own. So let's start with making a professional learning community team. I can click on Join and Create Team, then Create Team. In this case, rather than starting a class, I'm starting my professional learning community. So, 8th grade science. We can start adding people. I'm going to add a fake account. Let's say that this was one of my colleagues. I'm going to add. The Fab Lab is just a member in this case. I'm going to say close. All right, notice I have the ability to add files. We can have a OneNote that we share, which is a great place for us to do our lesson planning. Here, some notes have already been added by Microsoft. And we have our posts. So I could start out by saying, let's make our first lesson about the motion of planets in our solar system. Spell check. I can attach a file, upload from computer, from OneDrive. I'm going to upload from my computer. Here we have downloads. Oh, perfect. 8th grade standards. Now I can send this to my team. Let's look at our lesson plan. You'll notice that I've already cut and pasted our state standard into this OneNote. Because OneNote is relatively free form, it's easy to add in media. Notice I've used our draw tool in order to highlight the standard that we're going to focus on. I've inserted a table in order to have our lesson plan with teacher moves, student moves, and teacher questions. While I realize we're not all in the same room, there are still moves that we're going through. Notice I'm going to use Google Expeditions to take a video using screen capture so that it seems like I'm in the room with these augmented reality models of planets. I can also tie into the eclipse that occurred a couple years ago. Students are still going to remember that, and we can tie into their prior knowledge. As students explore, we can have activities like using a tool like Google Science Journal to gather accelerometer data as they move around in their backyard. There's also lots of great online resources. An obvious first start is NASA, but there's also resources like CK12, which has a flexbook on planetary orbits. PBS has an awesome video with Stephen Hawking explaining about Galileo and Copernicus. And CalSnap is a open media tool that has both open resources and California Streaming, which is a service from a consortium of county offices of ed. It's free right now through the end of the school year. Username CalSnap, password CalSnap. I'm gonna go to it for just a second. So we have California Streaming, and we have all these open resources as well. And it's also a way for us to get the kids to Britannica. I'm going to come back to Britannica in a second. So right now, I'm going to search for planets. We have lots of resources, videos, articles, images. I'm going to focus right now on what I can get from California Streaming. So we have videos about Mars and others. Okay. Lots of resources there. I'm going to go with specifically that one. We can also go back and check out Britannica. Notice there's both Britannica and Britannica Escolar, which is in Spanish. Here we go. We've gotten into Britannica. We have lots of images, videos, and articles on our topic. And we can, let's say we went straight to one on the solar system. We can share a link to the students. Right there with send. Right here, we have a screen capture from Google Expeditions. This model is the inside of our sun. Google Expeditions allows for virtual reality and augmented reality videos. In this way, I could explain about our sun and other parts of our solar system in an asynchronous way. I can prepare a video, and the students can be engaged, one, by getting to see their teacher, but also by getting to see and understand new stuff about our solar system. Let's look at our classroom team. So we made a class team just like we made our teacher team. Notice I have posts, files, a class notebook, which is taking a second to show up. There it is. Notice it already has some information for Microsoft. Our assignments and grades. Let's go back and look at each one. Posts has a conversation between me and the students. I can start off our unit by saying, how do planets move in the solar system? I've added in our engagement video right there. I've been able to just drag and drop it in. I can click here to add attachments, emojis, stickers. I can even have a class meeting right then. It's important to point out that I can use the calendar. Teams is connected to your Outlook calendar so I can schedule a meeting to occur inside of uh, a certain class. Notice in files, that image or video that I uploaded is already there to be referred to later. I want to focus on the OneNote for a second. We have 3 different regions within a OneNote. Certainly there's the student notebooks, which has all of their work. Each kid is able to see their own. We also have the content library, which is a lot of information that I might just want the students to be able to access. Think of it like a worksheet, well, not worksheet, or rather a flyer. Lastly, we have a collaboration space. That is where students are able to all work together on a project. I can also add other tabs. It could be a form that I want the students to fill out. I'm going to go with a website here. NASA has a great planet resource. So I'm going to say save. And now it's not just a link that we go to, it exists within our team. Students can click on it and scroll through. This happens to work out really well for the 5E lesson that we're working on. This is a model. I'm going to say I want to make a quiz. I've already written a quiz. To make a new one, I could use Microsoft Forms and click on New Form. I'm going to choose to use the one that I've already made. Notice I can set a due date and even a time. I'm going to go ahead and look at what we made. So I can double click to open up the quiz. Here we have a couple of questions. We can have one that's multiple choice. I can have a long answer form. We also have the immersive reader for students who need that assistance. So it's a feature that the students can click on, and then my question will be read to them. I'm going to go ahead and assign this. And now it shows up in the assignments. If I go to grades, I can add grades in. As we move into the extend stage of our 5E lesson plan, we can have the students make another model. Maybe it'll be a physical model like this one. This one is made with Legos. I think it's a little bit complicated for a student to make, but it's a pretty awesome demonstration of what can be done with Legos. Notice the Earth is spinning and the moon is orbiting the Earth, and the sun is spinning, but the Earth-Moon system are orbiting the sun. We have this philosophy that all models are wrong, but some models are useful. I think that the sun is a little bit blocky here, and we don't have a planet between the Earth and the sun, and it's not to scale, but there's a lot that we can learn from this model. Anyway, we'll have the students to try out making a model of their own. It might not be perfect, but they're showing their understanding. We're also going to try out making one with Scratch. Let's see what we can do. Let's elaborate on this learning using Scratch to make an interactive model. I'm going to click on Create. If you'd like a tutorial, one shows up immediately when you start making something on Scratch. We're not going to focus so much on a tutorial of how to program with Scratch, just a little bit more on how it could be used as a tool for students to be able to show their learning. So I'm going to close. I can add a sprite here with the Choose Sprite button. For the beginning of a solar system, the sun seems like a logical thing to add. I'm going to click this trash can to get rid of my original sprite. I'm also going to add a backdrop. There are lots of backdrops to choose from. I'm going to go with stars. I'm going to add another sprite here, but this one I'm going to upload. I actually downloaded a file from NASA with the Earth. Right off the bat, we see there's a problem with this model. The Earth is way too large. I'm going to drop the size. It is still way too large to be an accurate model. All models are wrong, some models are useful, but it starts to approximate what we want to show. We could have the students to add in more planets at distances, varying distances from the sun. We can program the motion of this. A move block would move it forward, turn would turn it. I'm going to have it turn the opposite direction. And I want this to happen over and over again, so I'm going to go with a forever loop here. Let's see how our planetary motion starts out. It could use a little bit of work. Okay, we're getting there. I'm going to stop it. I can also make it so that when someone clicks on a sprite, it gives us a little bit of information. Ooh, it's burning up. Okay, there we go. I'm going to say if I click on it, click, Earth is the third planet from the sun. Okay, this is a start for a really quick program. Students can make this better and have a fun time showing their learning through programming. Lesson with a virtual gallery walk. We can create a meeting where we now can work synchronously all together and students can share what they've done. I've chosen a time a year from now just so that the calendar is empty. I'm going to schedule it at 10 a.m. I could have clicked to schedule a meeting in the upper right. I'm going to say planetary motion gallery walk. The channel that I'm going to put it into will be 8th grade science. We have a time set aside. All I have to do is send this. And then when I go back to the team, the students will see that they can click and join the meeting. I hope this has been useful and that your students have a great time learning still in your class, digital class. Take care.